In November of 2016, a woman by the name of Brandy Worley, who at the time was, I think, 28 years old, admitted to killing her 7-year-old son and her 3-year-old daughter, and told police that she killed her children because she was afraid her husband would take them away in a divorce. Now, she was sentenced to 120 years in jail a short time ago, but this kind of goes back to an earlier video I had, or a stream I did rather, about how any woman could get pregnant no matter how evil they were. And from what we were told in news reports, she didn't have a criminal history or some background that was really all that twisted or demented. The only thing they could really point out was that she would become upset when things didn't go her way. Um, but there was this level of irrational behavior to even get you to consider, let alone commit this act, that I think isn't, it's obviously not the first of its kind. JTV is correct. There's craziness every day. Um, so when you have someone that just goes out and says, well, in these, if I get divorced and I have to see my kid every weekend or only 5 out of 7 days, I can't live with that. Let me just, end their lives altogether. Um, because there's, people have been divorced before. We know this. If someone did this for every time they got divorced, you would, see a pantheon of dead bodies lining up. And given that that's not the case, we know this isn't normal behavior. But what I really can't stand is how they always try to come across this thing of mental illness. Just, oh, something has to be wrong with this person. And look, obviously something is just not in the way of correct there, but what needs to be inferred is that you can't victimize the person who does this. Let's not forget the case of Andrea Yates, who, drowned her children. There was actually backlash toward her husband for impregnating her as many times as he did, which is a valid critique to make of him, but nonetheless, he's not the one who committed the murders. And in the case of this, I want this fact to also be known. She took a type of hunting knife that is specifically designed for killing something, whether it's a deer, a bear, a horse. And the KSD says just the lunatic compartments of the brain of the female cause these actions. Celeb Beach says, what's up? I'm saying hi back. The iPod King Carter says, how can you murder your own children? She didn't deserve them. Well, actually, that's something I've thought about. This is, and it's kind of sad. When they were talking about these different shootings that we see, where they mention how because they're so frequent, we've become, as a culture, desensitized to them. In the case of this, I feel very desensitized to it. And look, being, not that affected doesn't have to do with, oh man, this is not a bad thing at all. It has to do with the belief that, well, we've seen this happen so frequently and so readily, of parents, in many cases mothers, going out and murdering their children, to where I could probably just sit here and if I wanted to, make a video every day about a case of that nature, some high profile, some lower known or lesser known. And doing that would be for the purpose of giving you the information that this is a common thing among various women that become violent, that they take it out on their children. And it should show you the level of irrational behavior, given that there are circumstances after a divorce that just in most cases, most people don't think of doing this. But yeah, I became so disgusted hearing about her mental state and how, maybe we should be a little bit lenient toward her for doing this. And you guys know that if a man were to go out and try to, yeah, iPod, they did the same thing with the Florida shooter. But if a man were to go out, and that didn't even work, if a man were to go and slice up his 2 children because some woman wanted a divorce from him, it would be less than 1 minute before the argument of him having a mental illness was shelved in favor of the argument of him just being an evil person, was taken on. These things are planned, is what I'm trying to convey to you. It's not a spring of the moment, I'm going to, go out and be evil. This was something she had intended to do, given that that knife was one which, again, is reserved for the purpose of killing someone or something. So all of it's gross. I will have something else up either later today or tomorrow. But I thought it was a disgusting story. So thank you for everyone who tuned in, and we'll have more content soon.